Well, hello everybody and welcome to Portland. Here's the Dash 8 we're going to be flying today. Like I said, I think earlier, pretend like we're not at a gate with a jetway. The passengers are just going to walk out here and board through the built-in stairs on the sky. So yeah, we're on the ground. We have a ground power unit and we are ready to get started. The passengers will be boarding very shortly, so we need to get this show on the road. Alright, we have real-world weather loaded, by the way, right now as we speak. What we see outside should match what we see outside if you were really sitting in Portland. Well, it's active sky next, driving the weather. So first we're just going to do some preliminary checks, make sure everything was set up after the last flight correctly. It being a little after 4 o'clock, this wouldn't be the first flight of the day, so we don't need to perform all of the tests on the fire systems and everything else like that. But we do just need to do a quick scan and make sure that we are in a good state to start from. So DC control looks good, we're on external power right now, and we can get the windshield heating up. Wipers off, that's all fine. Fires tested earlier today, and that's all good. It is going to get dark in our flight, so let's just get some lights set now so we don't need to worry about it later. We're not on IPU, we're on ground. Ignition normal. Landing altitude, Seattle is 433 feet, so that's about there. Just needs to be approximate. Our position lights should be on at this point. That's good. Research should have been left on. Bleeds mid, so we don't have to remember to do that at takeoff. And a nice comfortable temperature in the cabin and here in the flight compartment. Belts, no smoking. Emergency lights are armed. Let's look down and turn off the yoke, just as a little flight sim-ism. And nose wheel steering is off, that's good. Turn on these lights. Takeoff warning test works. Okay. Parking brake is set. That gust lock should have been left on from the last flight. Cut off, idle, and flaps are up. Radios are on, and we're all set to go. Let's get the Portland weather really quick while we're here, which is at 128.35. 128.35.
Portland Airport information, Alpha 0009er Zulu, wind 284 at 7, visibility greater than 20 miles, sky conditions, few clouds at 1,500, temperature 2.9er, altimeter 3037, ILS runway 28 left, ILS runway 28 right in use, landing and departing runway 28 left, runway 28 right. If our aircraft see direction of flight, all aircraft read back with short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact unit Alpha. Portland Airport.
It's 3037, I believe.
Wind 284 at 7. Visibility greater than 20 miles.
So Seattle ATIS is actually 1180, so as we get in range, we're going to hear that. I'll probably turn it off and then just check it later. Takeoff trim set, that'll be good. Alright, and on the first officer side, anti-skid on. He can turn his little light on there. And that should be all we need on that side. Okay. So what's our plan here? Essentially, we are going to be pushed back with our nose. We want our nose pointing to the right. We'll taxi down to runway 28 left. And And like we talked about in the flight planning, we're just going to fly runway heading. We'll get vectors from ATC to our first waypoint, which was Kuga, I believe. Yes, Kuga. From there, we'll follow a flight plan up to Seattle. So let's get the flight plan programmed in. That's good. So we are going from KPDX. And if we pop in a departure, runway 28 left is number 5. We're taking that Portland 1 departure, yeah, from runway 28 left. So all that does, that just gives us a climb to 800 feet, and then we'll get vectors from there. So we'll just leave that. After that, so theoretically we can say list intersection, and then you can find the intersections. However, I think it's faster just to, like if you're going on airways or something, this is useful. I think it's faster just to type in Kuga. And after Kuga, we go to Krieg. And then from Krieg, we're on the Hawks 3 arrival. So let me pop in KSEA so it knows where we're going. And hit menu, arrival. We are anticipating, although it's not guaranteed, runway 16 right on the Hawks 3 star. Oh, I just messed that up. I needed to put in the approach. Let's do that one more time. Arrive. 16 right. Hawks 3. I don't want to transition here. I want approach ILS for runway 16 right. Okay. So from KPDX to KSEA. PDX, fly out of there. We'll get vectored to Kuga, to Krieg. We can delete that no link, which takes us to Hawks. We can delete one of the lines. Hawks line, Pikes, Kofe, Breve Nets, K-West, and Vashon. Then we get vectors to the 16 right ILS approach. Everything after that, actually everything after runway 16 right, so everything after here is just programmed in for the missed approach for that approach procedure. So flight plan set, fuel. We have the fuel from our plan. So fuel on board is 2365 in tank 1 and 2365 in tank 2. That adds up to 4730 pounds of fuel. Our fuel from PFX, from our OFP from PFPX was released 4729, so 4730, so that is good. And we know our zero fuel weight is 53633. 53633, which gives us a gross weight of 58363. So now that we know our weights, let's look at my takeoff reference card here. So to make things simple, we will call that a little over 58, which I have a line between 57 and 62. So outside temperature was below 20 C, something like 14 C, which means for a flaps 5 takeoff, which is what we'll do, V1 should be, let's call it 125. 25. V2R is 125. V2 is 128. Fry is 138. And V climb is 149. Okay, clear out the decision height here. And then as a reminder, we're going to call our acceleration altitude, but I'm going to turn on autopilot, whatever, all of that up at 1,000 feet above ground level, which here is pretty close to 1,000 feet, so we'll call it 1040. Let me do 1030? Ah, perfect, 1030. Portland altimeter set 3037. Put my takeoff speed chart away. Alright, we are just about ready to roll. Let's make sure that we get our doors closed. So go to the system doors. So let's go outside and watch our little door close animation. So there goes cargo and main boarding door. Excellent. Okay, like I said, we're going to do something a little unrealistic here, which is start one of the engines at one of these gates before pushback. Normally you'd start them while being pushed back, but the GSX, which is this add-on I have that does the pushback, doesn't quite understand how the Q400 works, and it gets confused if... Anyway, long story short, we're going to start one engine now, and then we'll start engine 1 once we've been pushed back, and then we'll be good to go. So let's check. We should dial in a little bit of rudder trim to the right, and then aileron trims should be relatively zeroed. Yeah, close enough. Confirm our doors are closed, so we can go back to the nav page for me. Okay, let's start an engine. Turn our beacon on to red. Actually, yeah, we're going to start off of the external power that's here. So, starting engine 2. Go outside and watch that. Okay. Number 2 looks good. Turn off the ground power. And that was not the right way to pan this view. Turn off that little ground cart. It should go away in a second in a very unrealistic puff of disappearance. Yep, there it goes. Okay. Put that in taxi mode. Alright. So now we should be able to request pushback from this thing. Request pushback. Okay, and I said I want my nose to go right, so I want my tail to go left. That's number 1.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
These nice, helpful guys.
Locking gear. Departure check completed. Pipe has been inserted. Release parking brakes.
Alright, parking brake. Released.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start that wheel.
Okay, well, he's doing that. So we're going to fly runway heading of 283. So just dial in the heading to get that ready. Let's say we're cleared to initial altitude of, I don't know, 7,000 feet. Yeah, so this is where, again, it doesn't quite have the model of the Q400, so you're going to see him go there and then somehow magically pop up on the other side of me. I don't think the tug normally drives under the airplane. But that's okay. Okay, where were we? We want takeoff go-around mode. And we know we're going to want heading after we depart. Select 7,000 feet on altitude. So if I forget later, I'm going to do flaps 15 landing in Seattle, so we'll just set that to 15. And nav source, we want FMS1. There's not much more we can do until we're pushed back. Let's go outside.
Set parking brakes.
Parking brake set.
locking gear. Tow truck disconnected. Bypass main removed.
Cool.
Left is clear. Right is clear.
And he'll wave us off. Okay.
Clear to start engines.
So let's see if we can start engine number 1 now. That looks good. Give it some gas. Alright, we're looking good on both engines. Electrical is all good. We can set that to the nav display, weather radar to standby. Main bus tie off. Electrical looked good. Get the condition levers up to max, and this thing will really start sounding like you're on the Dash 8. Engine bleeds on, men. Taxi light on. And nose wheel steering on. Although it doesn't look as if our taxi light actually turned on. Oh yeah, there we go, okay. Auto feather on, fuel pumps on, and hydraulics on. So we're going to do a flaps 5 takeoff. Put our flaps to 5 and confirm we're at flaps 5. Let's see, control surfaces good, elevator good. Gust lock off. The ailerons are good. A bit much on the rudder trim. There we go. Ready to tack cleared for takeoff. There's 80 knots. V1, rotate. Positive rate, gear up. And flaps up. Autopilot engaged. Leaves normal. And set climb power. And start a climb. Go 220 knot climb. Alright, let's say ATC just clears us direct to our first point, which is Kuga here, number 5. Set the autopilot to nav. And let's say they clear us to our cruising altitude of 14,000 feet. Okay, so established in our climb, we can set hydraulics off. Fuel pumps off, auto feather off. Looking up above, everything looks good. I know what we did forget to do, nothing matters right now in flight sim, but to be realistic, transponder on altitude. Okay, so that is us established on our climb. It won't be long until we reach 14,000 feet, and then it will be time to start planning for our descent and arrival into Seattle. 14,000 feet. Turn our landing lights off. To go to 14,000. Alright, and we're leveling off at 14,000. The rudder trim to account for our crosswind. Okay, now that we are in the cruise, we'll pull back to 850 on the condition levers. Turning toward Krieg. So in terms of our descent into Seattle, let me pull up the star here. Before I look down, I'm going to pull the power back just a little bit. So we have this waypoint, Vashon, where we will need to be at 6,000 feet. So in terms of vertical planning, we can say that at number 9, which is Vashon, we want to be at 6,000 feet, and we want a target vertical speed of going down at 800 feet per minute. So by doing all of that, we can see that we need to begin our descent in 10 minutes. And that is currently 56 miles away. Clear that message. So this is going to stabilize at some point, but let's say we're 56,300 pounds at landing. We're going to do a flaps 15 landing. That means that our approach speed is going to be 122 knots. Our go-around speed is 111 knots. So we can get those set up here. 122. This is according to my approach and landing speeds lookup table. Go around is 111. One less thing to worry about later. Like I said, Flight Simulator, when we listen to Seattle ATIS, is probably going to tell us that runways 3-4 are in use. However, in reality, just because there's slight variable wind, there's almost no wind at Seattle. Listening to their real ATIS, they're actually using runway 16. And since we are simulating that horizon flight that is doing this exact same thing at probably this exact same time, they're going to be running landing. Here it comes.
0046, wind 304 at 5. Visibility greater than 20 miles. Sky conditions and clouds at 2,900. Temperature 13.7. Altimeter 3042. ILS runway 34 right. ILS runway 34 center. Visual runway 34
042.
left.
Okay.
Departing runway 34 right.
Anyway, like I was saying, the real Horizon flight that's flying this is going to be landing on runway 16, most likely 16 right, so we'll just assume that we do in fact get cleared for our Hawks 3 arrival to 16 right on the ILS there. So this little circle over here is our top of descent. So when we get there, we're going to start going downhill. So we want to have pretty much everything set up so that we don't need to try and remember to do too many things once we're in the descent, because we'll be managing the power, and we're going to play ATC vectoring us once we get there. So let's get set up for the ILS. If I can find my chart. Here we go, ILS 16. So the ILS frequency for ILS 16 right is 110.75. So we pop that in here to 110.75. And the course for that is 163. So you hold down format. That brings up that, and we dial in 163. Okay, so ILS 110.75, course 163. That looks good. You hold down format again, and it'll clear that off the screen. We can see our course, or our path. little outside view. Sure, why not? Oh, look at that. Isn't it nice? Oh, we never let the passengers out of their seats. We'll give them a minute. Stretch out. Alright, beginning our turn into line for the Hawks 3 arrival. Okay, there we go. It's all green, no significant weather. Close to top of descent, we can arm VNAV because we're starting to see our VNAV profile. So we'll just hit the VNAV button. No, might not be close enough. No. Some little runway or airport down there. VNAV, I need to actually dial in the altitude. Okay, so we said our VNAV path is to 6,000, so now I can arm VNAV and alt cell. So we're just about to the descent, so let's get the passengers back in their seats. And everything else looks okay for our descent. Our descent, so I'm going to pull back on the power. Ultimately, it actually wants us to be following some speed restrictions here, but ultimately we're going to be 230 knots at Vashon at the bottom of our descent. And really we're supposed to be at 250 at Breve, which is along the way here somewhere. What's our next point? Nets. So we can pull back to 230 knots. And passing through 10,000 feet, let's turn our landing lights on. It's getting dark, so we can turn our instrument lights on, our logo lights, all the lights on. This far we're going to try and maintain 230 knots, so a little more power. No ice, and we're back in positive outside temperature, so there shouldn't be any ice risk for the rest of the flight. So what's it going to have us do here? Flight plan. Yeah, so after Vashon, so vector, it'll probably kick the autopilot over to just a pitch hold wing level mode. So we're going to tell it, let's be prepared to continue flying the present heading of 343. Say light variable, so yeah, almost no wind at the moment. There's the Space Needle down there. Faster than 230. Of course, when we level off at 6,000, we'll need to give it a little more power to maintain 230. Let's give it our heading. Put the power back up. So we're going to need to essentially turn around, do a 180, and pop out on the localizer for the ILS. Again, at this point, we're pretending like there's an air traffic controller that's going to be giving us vectors. Now that we've essentially finished the Hawks 3 approach. Let's say we're cleared down to 3,200 feet. Flip our nav source over to the ILS. Speeds, yep, now that we're descending, we need to pull the power back. Okay, so now we get to play our traffic controller. Let's say turn right, heading, say, I don't know, 070. I'm gonna reduce speed. My new target speed is about 200 knots. Right turn, heading 075, cleared to intercept the ILS 16 right localizer. Let a little speed bleed off now. set, fuel transfers off, fuel pumps on, hydraulics on, passenger sensors set, and warnings, cautions are clear. Wide slope is captured. Flaps 5. Gear down.
2,500.
Oh, I never set my minimums. We'll call our minimums 1,400 according to the chart. Okay, gear down, 3 greens. Flaps 15. Condition levers to max. Leaves to minimum. And we're clear to land. Autopilot disconnect. We are landing.
Light slope. Light slope.
We're a little below light slope.
Light slope.
We're sort of going to hit the runway.
Light slope.
30, 20, 10.
Alright. A little bit of a bounce, but that was probably my best landing yet in the Dash 8. We're not going to make that exit. Okay, so we've turned off at Papa. I've apparently now decided the lights were going to work. I'm going to stop here and figure out where I need to taxi to the gate. We can also run our after-landing checklist. So, lights off. Beacon red. The control lock goes, or the gust lock goes on. Weather radar goes to standby. Fuel pumps off. And spoilers go to taxi. Main bus goes to tie. And I'm going to get the APU powered up so that we have some power once we cut the engines without using a ground power card. Okay. And yaw damper off. So we just turned off on Papa. That Horizon flight was assigned gate Charlie 16. Let me get my ground map of Seattle. So we're on Papa. Okay, so we're going to taxi on Papa. Let's say taxi Papa, cross runway 16 center, cross runway 16 left. This could be a left turn on Bravo. And then from Bravo we can go down, and it looks like gate Charlie 16 is basically just across the way from the Bravo and Mike intersections. So that's the plan. Let's see how the plan ends up affecting reality. Crossing 16 center. Say Charlie 16. Okay, I said left on Bravo. Papa. So the next intersection should be November, and then Mike after that. want this one. Does that look right? Nope, the next one. Numbers aren't exactly realistic. I need to figure out how to turn them off. Okay, we are here. So let's just double check. The parking brake is on. Hydraulics normal. Did we ever put our flaps up? We did not. Flaps up. Weather radar off. And let's see. We need our nose wheel steering off. Go on APU generator. Transponder to standby. And let's cut the engines. With the RPM down, we can let the customers get out. And open up the door for them. I think I can open up the back door to let them out too. Yep. And with the engines off, we turn the beacon off. That on, that off. Yeah, that's right. Pitot heat comes off as well at some point, and the rest of that's already off. Well, I'm sure that was tremendously exciting for all involved. But welcome to a nice evening in Seattle. Sun going down. One thing we can check, because the plane tells us, is our takeoff time was 0:34. We had a 35-minute flight. So, yeah, I'm not really sure what the Alaska 28 minutes is based on. And then used 1,437 pounds of fuel. I'll have to compare that with the other numbers. Actually, I have them right here because I know you're interested. Trip was budgeted at $1,358 plus a generous 225 for taxi. So 1358 plus about, wow, 100 pounds for taxi, which is just about right. That's actually surprisingly pretty close to exactly the numbers the flight plan gave me. Cool, well, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you later.